You're listening to the Quint podcast.
Is it a landslide or a glacial burst or a man-made disaster that triggered the sudden flash floods in Uttarakhand's Chamoli district? It is yet to be ascertained as to what exactly caused the disaster that led to the death of at least 19 people, while around 200 others are reported missing as of 8 February. All hands are on deck to rescue those who are feared to be trapped in the Tapovan tunnel. The ITBP, the Indian Army, the IAF, the NDRF, and the NCMC have been deployed for the search and rescue operations. The death toll is expected to rise as bodies of the labourers walking in the flood path are still being recovered. At least 2 under-construction hydropower projects in the Chamoli district were severely impacted by the flood, with fatalities reported among personnel deployed at these sites. Several other projects on the Alkananda and the Bhagirathi river basins in northwestern Uttarakhand have also been impacted by the flood. While the central government has stated that a landslide at a high altitude caused the flash flood, several experts have pointed their fingers towards development projects like hydro plants, which may be causing harm to the ecology of the Uttarakhand region. What led to this disaster? Could it have been caused by climate change or human interventions? Answering these questions in today's episode will be Dr. Anjal Prakash, Research Director and Adjunct Associate Professor at the Indian School of Business, Hyderabad, Dr. Farooq Azam, Assistant Professor, Glaciology and Hydrology at IIT Indore, and Bahar Dutt, an environmental journalist. You're tuned in to The Big Story, the podcast where we dissect the headline-making news for you, and I'm your host, Himmat. Barely 7 years after Uttarakhand faced flash floods, which claimed 1,000 lives and the evacuation of more than 110,000 people, the state has yet again faced a similar tragedy. To gather data and information on what caused the calamity in Uttarakhand, on Monday, 8 February, a DRDO team of snow and avalanche experts from its newly created Defense Geoinformatics Research Establishment visited the site for assessment. The director for the Wadia Institute of Himalayan Geology, Kalachan Sen, also said that 2 teams of glaciologists are inspecting the site. So far, Indian Army personnel along with the engineer task force were able to open the mouth of the tunnel at Tapovan and are currently 19 meters inside the tunnel with about 100 more meters of clearing still left to do. According to Uttarakhand CM Trivendra Singh Rawat, who visited the site to assess the rescue efforts, the rescue team will be able to reach people stuck in the tunnel by 8 February evening. The Uttarakhand state government has also promised financial assistance of Rs 4 lakh each to the kin of the deceased. As we stated earlier, at least 2 under-construction hydro plants were affected due to the flood. They were namely the National Thermal Power Corporation (NTPC) Limited's under-construction 520 megawatt capacity Tapovan Vishnugad hydropower project and the 13.2 megawatt run-of-river Rishi Ganga power project on the Alkananda River, which was among the first to be hit by the surge, leading to extensive damage. Now, there were several other hydropower plants downstream as well, like the GVK Group's Srinagar HEP Dam, but these were unaffected. While the debate is still on about whether it was an avalanche or a cloud burst or a glacial burst, several experts pointed out that the fragile ecology of the Himalayan region cannot support the construction of hydro plants and rapid urbanization. Although in 2014, a Supreme Court committee headed by Dr. Ravi Chopra recommended that there should be no new hydropower plants in the paraglacial regions of the Himalayas. However, the Ministry of Environment has fought the clearance for several projects since then, even recommending environmental clearance to Lakhwa Dam in the Tehri Garhwal district on 2nd December 2020. Bahar Dutt, a renowned environmental journalist, states that another model of development is required for the Himalayan region since it cannot withstand the heavy construction required for hydro projects.
There is already a lot of analysis going on. There's a lot of noise on social media as well as what could be the possible cause of this. And I think we should not mince any words. This is a man-made disaster. Now, you may ask, what does dam building have to do with what has unfolded? Well, this is not the first time this has happened. It happened in 2013. It's now happened again in 2021. Time and again, we have been saying that the hydropower dams, what happens in a dam? When you construct tunnels, there's lots of debris which are created. And what happened yesterday afternoon, what I consider as Himalayan Tsunami 2021, what really happened was, okay, there was heavy snowfall, which again, scientists are studying. Was it due to a glacier breaking out from the Nanda Devi? Was there heavy snowfall? Even when there was heavy snowfall, what happened was that the river came with such full force that the 2 dams that were in the course of the river, they were full of debris because they basically broke through the powerhouse. This was of the Rishi Ganga hydro project and the Tapovan one. Two projects. And for those people out there who are saying that the dams actually, they actually saved us from the devastation, that's not true at all. The visuals speak for themselves. The dam could not withstand the force of the river even for like 5 seconds. And we have the visuals that show us. I've actually been speaking to a number of scientists, ecologists, policymakers, geologists. Everybody is saying that we should leave the fragile ecology of the Himalayas alone. We need to have another model of development for the Himalayas, simply because they cannot withstand the heavy tunneling, the heavy machinery, and the wide construction of roads that we're trying to build over there. And that is what has exacerbated the devastation caused.
Environmentalists and climate change activists are also drawing attention to the climate crisis and a rise in temperatures as a plausible explanation to the disaster. Vimlendu Jha, an environmentalist, called out the inaction of the government for not having learned anything from the 2013 Kedarnath disaster. In a tweet, he said, and I'm quoting him, "The unfolding disaster in Uttarakhand is not a mere coincidence. It's a grim reminder of two things: climate crisis that is ignored. Second, haphazard development of roads, railways, and power plants in ecologically sensitive areas. We didn't learn a thing from the 2013 Kedarnath disaster." Dr. Anjal Prakash, Research Director and Adjunct Associate Professor at the Indian School of Business, said that a rise in temperatures in the Hindu Kush Himalayan region and the global rise in temperatures is a big factor of the unpredictability of the disaster.
The changes that is happening in Himalayas are two. One is because of the global warming, the temperature rise is quite significant in the Himalayas. Now, if we are thinking of a world below 1.5 degree by end of the century, that would actually translate HKH region, the Hindu Kush Himalayan region, to about 1.8 degree to, and in some 2 degrees. This is kind of information that we're getting from two reports. One is IPCC report, and second is the HIMAP report, which was produced by EC Mode, and I was been part of both the reports. And this is one problem that we see continuously. So glaciers decline, the impact of global warming on glacier retreat is one issue. Second is how are these issues impacting on the water resources. Now we must know that Kech region is also home to 10 rivers, major rivers that originates in the Hindu Kush Himalayan region, and it feeds to about 1.3 billion people in the downstream areas of Asia. And these are very important rivers like Ganga, Yamuna, Brahmaputra, Sindhu, the Indus River. All these rivers are actually, which is a lifeline South Asians. Water, because of the glacial decline, this will change the water regimes in the years to come, and you could see some of the disasters which is already there. So the future isn't very bright at this moment. It looks very bleak in the climate change scenario.
Another theory which has caught traction is what glaciologists called a GLOF, or a glacial lake outburst flood. Such floods happen when glacial meltwater breaks through moraine dams, which are deposits of ice and debris collected from a glacial sheet. When large glacial sheets retreat, they leave behind a huge impression on the ground where water collects, and moraines usually act as natural dams for these lakes. But with rising water levels, moraine dams may collapse, causing the water to burst out and create floods, or a GLOF, which impact downstream community and infrastructure. But according to Dr. Farooq, who is a glaciologist and a professor at IIT Indore, the chances of a GLOF happening in the month of February is very unlikely. He also points out that there are no satellite images available for any glacial lakes in the area. The Geological Survey of India, GIS, in a statement to ANS said that the most likely explanation is glacial calving at the highest altitude in the region, which has caused the disaster. Dr. Farooq's assessment of the flood is similar to what the GIS said, which is a glacial break at a high altitude. Listen in.
Yesterday, when I see this video on TV, so the first, guess was it's kind of GLOF happening up there, but because this is kind of, very cold season, so the chances of GLOF are very rare. And also, after looking some imageries in the past, there is no evidence of any, lake development below the glaciers or above the glaciers. So we don't think this is a GLOF, regular GLOF event. And if we see the weather conditions over Chamoli over last 1 week, we had some snowfall. After that, we, regularly, we had quite good meteorological conditions. So there was sun all the days. So it is not again the cloudburst. Basically, what we could understand till now, based on the analysis and information we have from satellite imageries mostly. So there is possibility of a glacier, hanging glacier slip from there is a glacier called Rainy Glacier. So above this glacier we have one hanging glacier, so that has slipped possibly, and that fell down almost 2 kilometers down valley, and that has triggered the disaster. The size of this ice chunk is 0.2 square kilometer. So of course, when it slipped, it also initiated some landslide in the area. So all together with rocks and ice, the material came down valley. The first thing, it will gain lots of kinetic energy, and that will be converted. Some portion of this will be converted to heat energy that may produce some melt. But because from the glacier was hanging around 5,600 meters, so we expect that the glacier was in frozen state. So still we have some, a big question in front of us. What could be the source for this? Because if you see the videos, you can see the slurry mixed with the water, ice, and debris. So we are trying to understand, and we have some speculations and guesses about this water, but we are not able to understand the source of this water. So for sure, there was a landslide together with the ice slide.
While we wait for more data and research on what caused the disaster, Dr. Prakash believes that there are several policies of the Indian government which require a rethink when it comes to the Himalayas, especially when it comes to water resources.
See, hydropower issues are very closely linked with the water resource policies, but we are also looking at how water resources can be harnessed for the betterment of the humanity, especially in supplying access to, giving access to very basic access to water and sanitation to the large population. Now, this government, I must say, that has taken a lot of steps in terms of for example, Har Ghar Jal program. These programs are actually being there to bring in water supply to each and every household by end of 2024, which is slightly ambitious, but I'm sure there has to be some start in some places. Now, that's what I'm saying, that we need to move this. So move the energy requirement to a much more benign projects. So for example, solar and wind energies are much better in terms of the investment and the benefit that brings in. Also bring in people's participation. We have a lot of examples where individual households are encouraged to generate energy on their rooftop using the solar power that we have, and we have plenty of it in our country. So this kind of rethinking. I wouldn't use the word revamping, because revamping means closing it and starting anew, but because a lot of investment has come in, now we can actually rethink, reorient ourselves and see and weigh what is the cost involved and what is the benefit that we're getting. And
Bahar Dutt believes that the path of development in the region is not working, and new policies need to be introduced which are relevant to the people of the region, who are the first ones to be hit with the disasters.
All I can say is that if we keep looking at, again, the construction lobby, the builders lobby, the contractors lobby, then these disasters will continue to occur. I don't think there is a lack of examples of how we can do sensitive development. There are people who have built, for instance, gharats. These are water mills which have been built in the mountains. That's for providing. The water gharats used to function, some of them are over 100 years old. If it is about providing water and power to the people in the hills, then it is very different. Let's not fool ourselves. This kind of development, most of the water and most of the electricity comes to people like you and me who are living in cities. So we need to have a different form of development which is relevant to the people who live by the river. If the people who live by the river don't even get access to it because it has been tunneled for hydro projects, then what is the purpose of that development? And I think it is high time, we came up with a new form of development. All of us as environmentalists are told you're anti-development. No, we are pro-development. We're pro-people's rights. We're pro-local people being given access to natural resources. But that's not what is happening. The river and the water is coming to us in the cities. So I think we need to change our view and develop.
It is certain that closer monitoring of vulnerable areas are crucial. And Sunday's flash floods in Uttarakhand is only one of the examples of the impact of both climate change and human development on our environment. If you liked listening to this episode, please subscribe to The Big Story for episodic updates. We're available on Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, JioSaavn, and most of the other popular podcast streaming platforms. For other podcasts, please log on to the Quint website, and for any feedback, please shoot an email to podcast@thequint.com.
Thanks for listening. Log on to the Quint's website and check out our other podcasts.